The morning after the ink on the divorce decree dried, I killed Paula's monthly 10 grand allowance. Liam was busy waiting on Lily hand and foot at the postpartum suite, so he didn't notice a thing. By the time he came home, the house was gone, the furniture was gone, and his mother was on her knees outside my door. Before we go on, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment telling us where you're listening from. The second day after I picked up the divorce decree, I stopped Paula's $10,000 monthly allowance. The debit card and the passbook, every PIN and password, had been handed over by me years earlier. The divorce settlement didn't mention that clause at all. So all it took was one phone call and the money dried up. Clean and done. Liam still had no idea. He was camped out at the postpartum suite looking after Lily. The woman had a baby on the way and he was glued to her side. Home, mother, responsibility, he'd tossed them all over his shoulder. That afternoon the messages started. A string of WhatsApp voice notes. Madison, what the hell? Where's my mom's allowance? You agreed to 10 grand a month. You want her to starve? Have you no shame? I stared at the screen and laughed under my breath. The crimson divorce decree lay on my coffee table like a stop sign. Shame? I wasn't part of that family anymore. My thumb hovered, then I dropped the phone without answering. I felt lighter than I had in years. Night fell and he rang. The phone buzzed for a full minute before I picked up. He hissed, "Are you insane? Cutting her off is inhuman, what's she supposed to live on?" I answered flatly, "She still has you, doesn't she?" Silence. I pictured him crouched beside Lily's bed, afraid to wake her. I hung up. The next morning the real fireworks came, from Paula. She showed up at my new condo at dawn, eyes puffy, clothes wrinkled, and flung herself at my feet. "Madison, amen, I beg you. Don't cut off my lifeline. How will I face the family? How will I hold my head up?" Neighbors crowded the hallway. Whispers flew, thought her son was some hotshot, why's he living off his ex? Yeah, and he's shacked up with that Lily woman at the postpartum place. Paula's face cycled through green and white, but she kept clutching my calf. I stepped back and looked down. "Sterling, you've got the wrong person. Liam and I are divorced. From now on, ask him." Her eyes flickered, then she screamed, "Divorce doesn't matter. You owe me. Do you think I doted on you for nothing?" I laughed out loud. Doted on me? You told relatives I was barren, unworthy of your son. You turned him against me and kept your hand in my paycheck. When you demanded that allowance, did you ever treat me like a daughter? Each sentence was a blade. She trembled, speechless. The onlookers snickered louder. Crazy mother-in-law, son's out partying, yet she expects the ex-daughter-in-law to pay. Now the marriage is over and she still wants cash. Veins bulged on Paula's forehead. Just then Liam arrived, hauling baby supply totes, a gift bag from the postpartum suite, and Lily on his arm. He froze at the sight. "Mom? Madison? What's going on?" Paula lunged at him, wailing, "Aiming. Your shameless ex cut me off and sold the house. Where are we supposed to live?" I stayed on the threshold, arms folded. "I sold the marital home, my right. My parents paid for it. You felt entitled, but none of you ever checked the deed." Liam's face drained of color. He grabbed my arm. "That's our house, you can't sell it." I shook him off. "Your name isn't on the title. Did you ever sink a penny into it?" He sputtered, cheeks blazing. Lily leaned against the gate, boredom gone cold. "You told me the property was joint, Liam. Why does she say it's hers alone?" Her words were ice shards. Panic leapt into Liam's eyes. "Lily, don't listen, she's lying. I'll give you a home, I swear." His voice cracked, he was drowning. I savored the sight. Years of suffocating patience shattered in a single breath. I walked down the steps, brushed past them, and left one last line hanging in the air. "House sold, money gone, allowance ended, fend for yourselves. As for me, I'm finally free." I didn't look back. Behind me, Paula's howls tangled with Liam's curses, but the breeze felt soft and the sun felt kind, my first real taste of freedom in years. I didn't go far, just downstairs to the café. Ordered an Americano and watched my phone blink with missed calls. Over a dozen furious voice notes from Liam, didn't open a single one. I stirred my coffee, calm as Sunday morning. Within half an hour he barged in, face gray, sweat beading. He slammed into the chair across from me. "Madison, have you lost it? You sold the house, our marital home." He was nearly shouting. I met his eyes, cold and steady. "Marital home? Did you ever pay a cent when we bought it?" He flinched, jaw locked. "Stop twisting facts. It was purchased after we married, community property. You selling it is theft." His voice rose, heads turned. I pulled a file from my tote and dropped it between us. See for yourself. Inside, the original deed, owner, Madison. And the wire transfer from my parents to the developer. I added, you were unemployed 3 months straight, couldn't even cover closing costs. Spare me the injured act. His skin went purple. Paula burst in, panting. Madison, you viper. We lived there for years and you just toss us out? Where do I sleep now? On the sidewalk? I regarded her without pity. Sterling, easy on the drama. You never paid rent, utilities, or bought a stick of furniture. If we're settling accounts, you owe me. She gaped. Liam jumped in, Mom, ignore her. The place belongs to our family, she had no right. I laughed aloud. Comedy hour. Law says otherwise, and the new owner takes possession tomorrow. Pack tonight. Lily sauntered up, designer pouch in hand, having caught every word. Her smile thinned into suspicion. Liam, you claim joint ownership. Now it's Sutta. And Ly hers alone? Her tone sliced. Liam turned paper white. Lily, I just hadn't talked it through with her yet. I cut him off, gaze locked on Lily. Wake up, Hayes. The house was never his. If you hooked him for real estate, cut your losses. Lily's lips tightened, the arithmetic behind her eyes was already shifting. Paula exploded, finger jabbing at me. You ungrateful leech. I slaved for you too, this is how you repay me? I gave a slow, cold smile. Slaved for us? Memory check, Sterling. I earned 20 grand a month and handed it over, while your son played house husband. You demanded 10 grand every 30 days. Tell me, who supported whom? Laughter rippled through the growing crowd. So that's how it is, no wonder the wife wanted a divorce. Shameless woman. She took the girl's money and then blamed her for everything. Paula's face flushed scarlet, she nearly swooned from rage. Liam panicked. He rushed over and hissed, Madison, knock it off. We all live in the same city. What's the point of burning every bridge? I stared at him, my gaze razor sharp. All live in the same city? Liam, have you forgotten the day you took Lily to the courthouse? The divorce settlement states plainly, the marital home is not subject to division. When you signed, didn't you bother reading? He froze, instantly speechless. Lily's complexion went chalk white. She snorted, spun on her heel, and stalked off without a backward glance. Liam chased after her, calling, Lily, don't leave, listen to me. The scene dissolved into chaos. Paula collapsed on the floor, wailing to the heavens. Dear God, how did I end up with such a heartless daughter-in-law? I looked down at her, voice calm. Sterling, don't call me daughter-in-law again. I'm already divorced from your son. From now on, we keep to our own waters. I snapped my folder shut, turned, and walked out. Behind me, sobs, shouts, and quarrels blended into a discordant chorus. But to me, they were already white noise. Stepping onto the sidewalk, I exhaled long and slow. This reckoning had finally come to a full stop. I thought we were done for good. Yet news soon reached my ears. Paula's life was spiraling downward. Once the monthly allowance stopped, her days grew threadbare. Previously, buoyed by the 1,000 I sent each month, she could still hold her head high. At family dinners she'd brag, my daughter-in-law's filial, grocery money is never a worry. Now she counted every cent for rice. Ironically, the relatives who once greeted her with how's amen? Your daughter-in-law is quite the success, huh? Now asked, heard Madison divorced your son, so who's supporting you? Each question pricked like a needle against her cheeks. Humiliated, she bolted straight to Lily. Lily was still in the postpartum suite, swathed in silk pajamas, a sheet mask on her face. Seeing Paula at the door, she frowned. Mom, what are you doing here? This is an upscale recovery center, you standing there lowers the tone. Paula reddened but forced the words out. Lily, I know you young folks spend a lot, but I'm really strapped. Could you lend me something to tide me over? Once Madison changes her mind, everything will be fine. Lily paused, then sneered. Changes her mind? Mom, you're dreaming. She cut Liam off clean, sold the house, took the cash, she'll never look after you again. Paula's expression stiffened. But what about you two? You're carrying Liam's baby. Before the child is even born you're letting me lose face. Lily slapped the sheet mask into the trash, voice razor-edged. Mom, remember, I'm not your Madison. I'm not obligated to hand you 1,000 every month. And I've got a kid to raise. If you need money, ask your son. The words stabbed Paula like a blade. She stood frozen, throat too tight for sound. Liam stepped out of the bathroom in time to hear. Lily, watch your mouth. She didn't flinch, only laughed coldly. Am I wrong? Your mom wants cash, fork it over. Don't expect it, fro. Me. Liam's face turned livid, yet he could offer no retort, his pockets were just as empty. Times had been brutal for him. With Lily pregnant he had to coax and pamper, with his mother demanding he had to placate. And I no longer gave him an inch. He once showed up shamefaced, saying, "We can still be friends. Your agency's just started, spot me a little working capital." I shot him down in front of everyone. "You can't even keep yourself afloat, why should I bankroll your mother?" He slunk away humiliated. My own life was the polar opposite. After moving back into my parents' townhouse, I threw myself into the business. It was a boutique firm focused on new media branding. Years of contacts plus the cash from the house sale made launching fairly painless. I left at dawn, returned at dusk, too busy to feel my feet, but I knew every minute counted. While courting my first client, the partner said bluntly, "Sterling, I heard you walked away from Liam and still built this solo. I respect that grit." For the first time I tasted genuine respect. No ex-mother-in-law whispering poison, no husband confiscating my debit card. My money, at last, belonged only to me. On their side, Paula grew more wretched by the day. Relatives drifted away, nobody lent her a dime. Everyone knew she'd lived off her daughter-in-law, and the mountain was gone. On the street she caught murmurs, "Look, that's the old lady who survived on her ex-daughter-in-law's allowance." She ground her teeth but could do nothing. Finally she rushed to Lily again. This time Lily was colder. "Mom, don't come back. I'm broke. If Liam's useless, blame him. Don't treat me like an ATM." Paula almost fainted on the spot. Back home she screamed at Liam. "See what kind of woman you married? She won't lift a finger for me." Liam slammed the door. "Mom, enough. You want money, I don't have any." Their quarrel exploded, mother and son at full blast. Right then my agency reached a turning point. I landed a major account, Big E. Enough to let me scale up. As the partner signed, he smiled. "Sterling, someone like you will go far." Hearing that, a steadiness I'd never known settled in my chest. Once I'd lived for others' expectations and disdain. Now I lived only for myself. As for them? In my eyes they were already shadows of the past. Pathetic shadows still flailing, unable to find a way out. That night a text from an unknown number lit my screen. Only a few words: "Madison, save me." The sender, Paula. I stared at the message a long while. A slow, cold smile curved my lips. "We cut each other off a long time ago. The only reason you're calling me is to borrow money, right?" My blunt question hit the mark, his face froze. Still, he forced himself to nod. "Madison, your agency just landed a huge account, didn't it? I only need a short-term bridge. The minute I'm back on my feet I'll pay you back. Besides, things got ugly between you and Mom. If you still feel even a shred of old affection, help me out." I stared at him for several seconds and suddenly smiled. "You're right. I do still remember old affection." His eyes lit, but before he could speak I added, icy cold, "That's exactly why I didn't kick the whole Sterling crew to the curb back then. Too bad, at this point that affection has been repaid in full. You want more money from me? Keep dreaming." His face collapsed altogether. At that moment the partner I'd arranged to meet strode in. A businessman in his 30s, he stretched out his hand the instant he crossed the threshold. "President Sterling, the pitch you sent over was terrific. Let's sign the contract today." Smiling, I shook his hand. "Welcome." The entire exchange played out in front of Liam. He watched us sign on the spot, watched me clink glasses with my new partner. His expression twisted, ugly beyond words. I deliberately raised my voice so everyone could hear. "Thank you for your trust. My agency is expanding, so we're hiring. But I only take people who can deliver, no D. Edwait." The words stabbed straight into Liam's chest. Everyone in the room knew exactly whom I meant. Muffled laughter rippled around us. Liam's face flashed red, then white, and he slunk away. Back home, of course, he ended up in a screaming match with Lily. When she heard he hadn't gotten a cent, she started hurling things. "Loser. You can't even squeeze money out of an ex-wife. I must have been blind to hook up with you." The tirade drenched him, yet he could only swallow it, stuffing a pillow over his head as he lay there. A few days later news arrived. Lily had dumped the baby on Liam and gone on a shopping spree. She came back with armfuls of bags and tossed out a single line, "Liam, I want a car." He almost fainted. "A car? Where am I supposed to find money for a car?" Lily's smirk was razor sharp. "No cash? Then go beg your ex. Either get me the keys or I walk, kid and all." Her tone was ice, no emotion, the child merely bargaining leverage. Liam turned pale. He finally realized the lifeline he'd hugged to his chest was slowly becoming the abyss swallowing him. And me? I was in my office, flipping through the wire confirmation of the new contract. Sunlight streamed through the window, glaring off the paper. I suddenly felt that fairness in this world might be late, but it always arrives. The Sterling clan would reap what they had sown. And I was only getting started. I hadn't imagined they could still cook up fresh antics. After I'd humiliated Liam in public, I thought he'd lie low. Yet before long my lawyer rang. President Sterling, your ex, Liam, has filed for division of marital property. I blinked. Divide what property? He claims you concealed joint assets when you divorced, including the agency you run now. The attorney's voice carried a note of resignation. He says there was already a plan to start the business during the marriage, although the company was incorporated after the divorce, it's fruit of jointly seeded efforts. I laughed, coldly. Exa. CTLY Lily's handwriting. She'd set her sights on my agency. Since nothing came of the marital home, she'd switched angles. A single suit, aiming to tear off a chunk of my flesh. Too bad she underestimated me. I called my counsel at once and pulled every record. Date of incorporation, source of capital, shareholding structure. Each document spelled out the facts: money from the sale of the townhouse, registration 3 months after the divorce decree, zero connection to Liam. Worse for them, I uncovered several transfers. Back when he'd been jobless, I'd floated him 3 months living expenses. If anyone kept the books, he owed me north of $5,000. Days later the hearing opened. Liam in a rumpled suit, Lily hanging off his arm, both strutting like victors. I, the defendant, sat relaxed. My lawyer opened the file and spoke crisply. The plaintiff argues the agency is joint property ceded during marriage. Yet the registry shows incorporation 3 months post-divorce. The capital derives from the sale of the defendant's personal townhouse, no trace of the plaintiff's funds. Does the plaintiff have any proof of a direct stake? Silence. Liam flushed. I've got chat logs. She talked about starting a business while we were married. Lily chimed in, right. She had the idea back then, that proves half of it is his. The judge frowned. An idea entitles you to ownership? One sentence, and they were tongue-tied. Stifled laughter fluttered through the gallery. I spoke, voice frosted. Your Honor, if a thought were grounds for division, then my yacht fantasy from that marriage should be sliced his way too. Laughter erupted. More lethal, my counsel submitted the transfer slips. Further, the plaintiff was unemployed for 3 months during marriage, living expenses paid by the defendant. Strict accounting shows the plaintiff in debt to the defendant to the tune of $5,000. At that, Liam panicked. Madison, we were husband and wife, do you have to go this FA? I looked at him, eyes glacial. Husband and wife? When you marched Lily to City Hall, where were those 4 little words? Now you want an accounting, fine. Let's settle down to the last decimal. The gavel fell. Ruling, plaintiff's evidence insufficient, petition denied. Plaintiff to bear all court costs. Outside, the pair's faces were black as iron. Lily shoved him, shrieking, loser. Can't even win a lawsuit. Liam quivered with rage yet swallowed it. As I descended the steps the faintest smirk curled my mouth. Think you can play me? This is only the opening act. Days later an invitation arrived. A top-tier investor rang me personally. President Sterling, word is you just won a court battle. I admire guts like that. I like your agency, let's talk cooperation. In that moment it dawned on me, sometimes you fight back not merely to protect what's yours, but to show the world you are no one's punching bag. Far away Liam's nightmare was just beginning. Lily looked at him with frost, patience exhausted. She wanted cash, a car, a bigger apartment. He could deliver none. Every quarrel gouged another chunk from the tatters of his dignity. Finally Lily tossed out a line, frigid as winter. Liam, face it, you're useless. You can't handle your ex, so what can you handle? At that, he shattered. And me? I was back at my desk, leafing through a freshly signed agreement. Sunlight through the plate glass pooled over the page, illuminating one line, term, 3 years. Value, $5 million. I smiled. The finest revenge. 3 days after the verdict I was busy signing contracts when an unfamiliar number buzzed. Madison, dear, it's me, Mom. Paula's voice quavered on the other end. I hesitated, said nothing. Madison, don't blame me. I'm desperate. You're doing so well now. Could you spare a little for an old woman? The monthly allowance stopped and I'm still drowning. I snorted. Mom? Sorry, I no longer have a mother-in-law. Let me remind you, your son is my ex. My money no longer bankrolls either of you. I hung up. I expected her to slink away, instead she cornered Lily. Lily, you're the Sterling daughter-in-law now. I'm broke, a good wife supports her husband's mother. Lily bounced the baby, annoyance plastered on her face. Sterling, I'm under no obligation to bankroll you. Besides, Liam and I aren't even married. Why should I give you money? A single sentence, leaving Paula crimson and speechless. She refused to quit, persisting, but you share a child with Liam, you'll be family sooner or later. If you two won't look after me, who will? Lily's gaze turned cutting, voice crueler. Sterling, get this straight, I'm here for Liam, not for you. If you need cash, ask your son, quit bothering me. Paula stood frozen, feeling a bucket of ice water dumped over her head. She stormed home and lashed out at Liam the moment she walked in. Are you stupid? What kind of woman did you pick? She doesn't give a damn about your mother. Liam's face darkened. Mom, can you shut up for once? If you hadn't forced me to marry Madison, none of this crap would have happened. Paula slapped her own thigh in fury. Blame me? Without Madison you'd have starved to death ages ago. The two of them screamed at each other until the sky felt ready to fall, every word carried clear as a bell through the hallway. Neighbors poked their heads out, hungry for the show, pointing and whispering. One muttered, back when his wife still lived here, the old lady cursed her daily. Now there's a new girl, and it's the same song. Yep, instant karma. Paula's face flamed crimson, she wished the floor would crack open and swallow her. A few days later she cornered Lily again. This time she came straight to the point. Lily, if you seriously plan on staying with Liam, cough up some cash. I'm not greedy, $3,000 a month will do. Lily's expression flipped on the spot. Are you insane? $3,000? You think I'm an ATM? Why don't you go get a job instead of sponging off me? Paula's voice shook. I raised your man for 20 plus years, and now you tell me to get lost? Lily sneered. I never asked you to raise him. And if you're smart, you'll stay out of my life. Otherwise I'm taking the kid and leaving, you two can rot together. Those words sent Liam into a full panic. Lily, don't do this. Mom's getting old, you have to show some respect. Lily snorted. Respect? I can't even feed myself. Either earn more money or tell your mother to vanish. The three of them argued until the roof nearly lifted off. Paula wailed, fine. Fine. My son married a heartless wolf. I must have been blind. If this is how you treat me, I'm going to Madison, she's the only one who ever truly cared. Liam froze, Lily exploded. Go on, run to her. Let's see if she even gives you the time of day. Sure enough, Paula showed up at my agency before long. Wearing a tattered parka, she knelt at the entrance, shrieking at the heavens. Madison, Mom knows she was wrong. I was bewitched when I sided with Liam against you. You're a good child, please, forgive me once. Don't cast me aside. My co-workers were startled, they clustered by the windows to gawk. I stepped outside and looked down at her on her knees. I felt no sweet vindication, only ridicule. Paula, get one thing straight. I'm not your daughter, and I'm no longer your daughter-in-law. The one obligated to support you is your son. As for me? Sorry, I owe you nothing. Tears streaming, she reached to grab my hand. I took a cold step back. I've already told you, I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore. I turned and walked back into the office. Behind me Paula's sobs echoed down the corridor, sharp, mournful, yet they didn't stir a single ripple in my heart. In that instant I finally understood, some people are beyond your help. They chose the other side, they must live with the fallout. Me? I just keep moving forward. The scene of Paula on her knees zipped through the company like wildfire. Some whispered tea. Had I was cold, heartless. I only smiled, I didn't bother explaining. Explanations are for people who deserve them, and she no longer qualified. A few days later I poured every ounce of energy back into the agency. Months of relentless work finally bore fruit. The contract with the out-of-town partner was signed, they wired a $3 million advance in one lump sum. The whole office buzzed in celebration, only I stayed calm. This was merely the starting line. I knew I could scale even higher. To broaden operations I attended several industry mixers. There I met people who truly knew the game. An investor told me, Madison, you've got a ruthless edge, you're not like the trust fund kids flooding the market. I respect that. I simply smiled. I have no safety net, only the hustle. That line made them look at me with new eyes. Within a single month my agency's name began ringing through the trade. Clients poured in, collaborations turned steady. And I, bit by bit, shed the label of divorcee and emerged as an independent entrepreneur. Meanwhile Liam's life slid downhill fast. Lily's postpartum recovery was rough, making her temper flare hotter every day. She demanded a car 1 second, cash the next, waving the baby like a trump card. Liam, are you even a man? Other husbands sink into debt to buy their wives a car. What about you, broke loser? Liam swallowed his anger. The project I invested in will pay out soon, just hang on. Lily rolled her eyes. Save it. Didn't that investment already go up in smoke? The jab turned his face the color of ash. Before long, creditors showed up at the door. Liam, are you even male? You borrow money and disappear? Keep stalling and we won't be polite. Sweat soaked his forehead as he begged relatives for loans. But every last aunt and cousin was sick of him, they dodged his calls. In the end he fixed his sights on me. That day I was in my office reviewing a new contract. The secretary tiptoed in. Madison, there's a guy claiming to be your Liam making a scene at reception. I set down my pen, voice icy. Tell him to get lost. The secretary hesitated. He brought the baby. I laughed, of course the baby card. I walked to the lobby. Liam looked haggard, cradling the infant. Lily was nowhere in sight, she'd plainly dumped the mess on him. He lunged the moment he spotted me. Madison, please help me. We were once married, look, the baby is tiny, you can't let an innocent child suffer. I studied that once familiar face and burst out laughing. Liam, your shamelessness is impressive. I'll say it one final time, you and I are strangers. That child is yours and Lily's, it has zero to do with me. Panic flashed in his eyes. Just lend me a bit, I swear I'll pay you back fast. I know your company is raking it in, you won't miss pocket change. My gaze turned glacial. True, I'm not short of money. But I'd rather chuck it into the river than hand a cent to you. Silence crashed over the lobby. Liam stood red-faced, infant in arms, unable to move. Staff whispered and stared. This time every shred of his dignity was shredded. That evening I received news. Lily had packed up and left with the baby, dumping Liam alone. Witnesses saw her hauling bags to her parents' place, cursing that Liam was useless. He ran in circles, frantic, but had zero power to fix anything. Over on my side, the agency grew steadier by the day. Investors funneled in capital, the team doubled in size. I stood at the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the glittering city skyline, a certainty I'd never felt before swelling in my chest. All of it, earned by my own hands. No man, no family pedigree, just my grind. Later I heard Liam had racked up debts in the hundreds of thousands. Creditors camped outside his door daily, Lily simply vanished. Paula was forced to sneak off and bunk with shabby relatives. The three of them had truly hit rock bottom. And me? I soared for real. My name began circulating through the industry. More and more people you wanted partnerships, more and more regarded me with genuine respect. The contrast couldn't be more ironic. A woman once scorned by her mother-in-law, betrayed by her husband, now glowed with confidence. While they flailed in the muck, I felt no pity. They reaped what they sowed. I know my story has only just begun. The best chapters lie ahead. I never imagined Lily would still have the gall to come begging. That day I'd just returned from a business trip, she was waiting outside my building. Eyes swollen red, baby in her arms. Madison, please help us. Liam is broke, collectors knock every day, we can't even afford formula. She clutched my sleeve, voice shrill. If you have a shred of conscience, help, for the baby's sake. I gave a cold laugh. Lily, are you confused? The child is yours, you gave birth. What does that have to do with me? She froze, face shifting between green and white. Finally she ground out, but you were his wife. You two chose not to have kids, that was your decision. Now the baby is here, you can't just walk away. I shook her off, my tone frosty enough to cut glass. Responsibility? Sorry, your mess bores me. I'm responsible for my company and my life, period. That night, sure enough, word arrived. Lily dumped Liam for good, shoved the baby into his arms, and took the first bus back to her hometown. Her parting shot was crisp, broke as a joke, no way I'm suffering with you. Liam stood there, utterly stunned. Debt crushed the air out of him, even the kid felt like a lead weight. He carried the baby from door to door, but no one would give them the time of day. Relatives sneered that he'd never amount to anything. Collectors camped on his doorstep, and one guy even yanked his collar right on the sidewalk, demanding cash. When news of his sorry state reached me, all I felt was bitter irony. The laughable part? He actually tried to loop me back in. Madison, please, just help me out, at least take the kid. He's innocent. He stood outside my age. NCY clutching the baby, bawling his eyes out. I stepped off the elevator, spotted him from a distance, and felt nothing but revulsion. Liam, your math is impressive. Hand me the kid so you can shake off the burden and stroll away free? His face flushed, he stammered, it's not like that, I'm out of options. Madison, don't you remember what we had? Even for your mom's sake, I cut him off, voice like ice. What we had? The day you moved Lily into our bed, you strangled every last bit of it. Your mom? Didn't you say I was unfilial? Weren't you going to be her rock? Fine, she's sick now, go prop her up. Liam's expression froze, his mouth opened, but no words came. Within days Paula collapsed. Years of bad food, cheap clothes, and raw nerves finally did her in. She passed out in her rented room and a neighbor hauled her to the hospital. The doctor rattled off a list of expensive meds. Liam buzzed around like a fly on a hot griddle and showed up at my door at midnight. Madison, please, Paula's in a bad way. You know how brutal medical bills are. You've got money, helping her isn't too much to ask. I stared at him and let out a cold laugh. You have the gall to say that to me? Your mom called me a jinx, said I was cursed for not giving her a grandkid, trashed the house my parents bought, and still demanded monthly allowance. Now that the sterling cesspool is swallowing you, you suddenly remember me? Sorry, I'm not your personal ATM. Liam dropped to his knees. Madison, have a heart. Paula's old, she can't take this. Something in my chest twitched. I'm not made of stone, but I know, if I paid, they wouldn't thank me, they'd expect it forever. So I chose another route. I didn't say yes to Liam. The next morning I quietly phoned the city's social services office. I filed the paperwork explaining Paula's situation. The caseworker accepted it on the spot and told me she qualified for welfare assistance and emergency medical aid. I exhaled. At least illness wouldn't push her past the point of no return. But this wasn't me caving. It was me choosing to stay human. I wouldn't let them hijack me again, yet I wouldn't watch an old woman die. I set her on the path to help, and stepped away for good. A few days later Liam found me again, gratitude and shame warring on his face. Madison, thank you. Without you mom would have been finished. I gave him a flat look. Don't thank me. Thank government programs, not me. From this day on, I have zero to do with your clan. He stood rooted, despair pooling in his eyes. I turned and walked off, lighter than I'd ever been. Because I finally understood, their downfall didn't need my hand. They'd walked every step into this quicksand all by themselves. And I had already clawed my way out. That night I walked home alone. Street lamps painted the pavement gold, and inside me was a calm I'd never known. The shadow of that marriage finally lifted the moment it shattered completely. My new life was waiting up ahead. After that final confrontation, I never saw Liam again. Word was creditors trapped him in his rented room, nearly dragged him to a back alley beating. He slunk out of the city at dawn, leaving even the kid behind. Lily was colder, she grabbed her suitcases and vanished without a goodbye. Rumor says she remarried somewhere far away, wiping her hands of both child and Liam. I don't gloat over their wreckage, I just watch and think, you reap what you sow. Meanwhile my life shifted into a higher gear. The agency stabilized. What began as a 4-person squad I built with my own hands now topped 50 employees. We landed contract after contract, even luring foreign investors to the table. Every time I sit across from venture partners, a solid certainty steadies my pulse. No one belittles me anymore, and no one makes my choices for me. Madison's road is paved by Madison. A reporter once asked during an interview, Sterling, what's driven you this whole journey? I paused, then smiled. When you've st. art at the darkest hour, you learn how blinding daylight can be. The journalist blinked, then nodded in quiet understanding. I knew the line wasn't just for the camera, it was the footnote to my last few years. As for Paula, updates trickled in. She scrapes by on welfare and community aid, life lean, but at least she's not sleeping on pavement. Now and then I spot her in the supermarket. She starts to speak, then stops. In the end she just lowers her head and veers away. I don't approach. She's finally learned, the one person you never mistreat is the one who once loved you truly. Too bad the lesson came too late. Spring found me at an industry summit out of state. Spotlights blazed, applause surged like surf. When they called me to the stage, hundreds of eyes zeroed in. A memory flashed, me hunched in that cramped kitchen years ago, wiring allowance to Paula while icy chat logs glared from my phone. Back then I was timid, convinced marriage was my whole worth. Now I stood under chandeliers, chin high, respected, seen. My throat almost burned with triumph. I had made it through. After the summit someone teased, President Sterling, career set, how about settling down? I only smiled, no reply. They couldn't know, I no longer need a ring to prove a thing. I'm already whole. If someday I meet someone who sees and respects me, that's fate. If not, solitude doesn't scare me. I learned long ago how to keep myself excellent company. Months later the agency upgraded to downtown glass towers. On moving day I planted myself at the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing over the skyline. Sunset brushed the high-rises with molten gold. Inside, staff laughed while taping boxes, every face bright with forward motion. Calm filled my chest. The people who once caged me in worry were fossil specimens now. I don't look back. I won't be anyone's anchor again. One night I drove home alone. Down a familiar street a slumped figure caught my eye. It was Liam. Hair matted, squatting by the curb, attorney duffels piled beside him. I slowed for half a second, then rolled past. No pity stirred. The ruin beside the road was sculpted by his own hands. Not karma, not vengeance, just life serving the bill he ran up. Back home I pushed the window open. Night wind slipped in, cool and clean. I laughed out loud, small, quiet, real. It was finally over. I, Madison, am no longer the woman Paula branded unfilial, the wife Liam scolded for disobedience, the doormat Lily ground her heel into. I am simply me, independent, resilient, free. The road ahead is long, and I'm only at mile 1. I stepped onto the balcony, watching the first sliver of dawn crack the horizon. Light scattered the dark and spilled across my face. I drew a deep breath and whispered, "Goodbye, past. Hello, new life." Thanks for listening to the story today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your take, and don't forget to subscribe for more riveting stories. See you next time.